A top WWE executive takes a leave of absence, and the ass kicker is back. It's This Week in Regret. Hello and welcome to everyone. A pair of moves in WWE has fans running wild with speculation this week. First, new this morning, it was reported by the Wrestling Observer that Triple H is back in a full-time capacity backstage after having suffered a cardiac event in September of last year. Triple H, who is still the Executive Vice President of Global Talent Strategy and Development, has declared that he will never wrestle again and ceremoniously left his boots in the ring at this year's WrestleMania. Well, if the report is true, then I'm very glad to hear that he's back. Of course, obviously, his health is the most important thing. And if he's healthy enough to get back on the road and be back to those old jobs that he had before his cardiac event, then more power to him. I think he had a lot to give creatively, especially with the past version of NXT. Not quite sure how it will jive with the 2.0 presentation, if that's where he's going to end up going. But whether it's NXT or the main roster, certainly he still has a lot to give creatively on that front. And once again, of course, the health is the utmost importance. But as one McMahon returns, another is on their way out, as Stephanie McMahon announced she's taking a leave of absence from WWE. In her statement on Twitter Thursday, she said she was stepping away to be with her family. It's been reported that company president Nick Khan is taking over some of her executive duties in her absence. This definitely feels, at least in the short term, like a major shakeup within WWE. I mean, Stephanie's been part of that corporate culture there for about 20 years now, and that's on top of her having been a major force in television as well as the chief brand officer and the business that she has helped bring WWE in that role. Now, I'm not going to begin to speculate on anything as to the nature of what's going on beyond that or what it means with Nick Khan essentially consolidating all this power he's had in just a couple of years in the company. As Vin Diesel once said, family is the most important thing, so I respect and appreciate Stephanie's decision, and I guess we'll just leave it at that for now. Well, the wrestling world is still abuzz from what happened on Monday Night Raw when the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions walked out during the show. It was reported that Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out on Monday night after their involvement in a six-pack challenge in the main event was announced. Sasha allegedly argued with Vince McMahon during the day about the creative direction of the tag titles, then decided to leave. Naomi split with her in solidarity. The two women have yet to make an official statement, but WWE put one out that night giving their side of the story, and Corey Graves called the two unprofessional on commentary that night. Here's my 2 cents on the subject. I believe that every wrestler, regardless of age or gender or experience or contract status or place on the card, has the right to say no to a bad creative decision. Yes, I'm even speaking for folks like Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, Roddy Piper, the Honky Tonk Man, and so on and so forth. I may not always agree with those stances, but I will always defend their right to take those stances. And the reason I do is because at the end of the day, those men and women are the ones putting their bodies and reputations on the line over what a booker or a writer might have for them. Yes, it's professional to, honor your contract, but in a specialized industry like wrestling, where every participant is their own biggest advocate, I would say it's just as professional to recognize your worth. Should we be surprised that someone would eventually stand up against the bad creative direction of the women's tag division there? Can anyone say with a straight face it's been handled well for the last couple of years or ever for that fact? Why should Sasha and Naomi just roll over for bad creative? Oh, because they signed a contract? Yes. Please tell me about WWE's rich history of honoring contracts lately. Should they have walked out mid-show after the match had already been announced? Probably not. Even Steve Austin didn't do that in 2002. But like Austin, Sasha was standing up for what she felt was bad creative, and she acted in a way to get Vince McMahon's attention. She recognized her worth, she took a stand, she asserted herself, and how many times have we heard over the years it's the ones who fight back who ultimately get Vince's respect? Who knows how it's going to shake down in the end? I don't believe anything's going to happen to Naomi. I mean, if her husband hasn't been fired for all his behind-the-wheel transgressions over the years, then she's golden. And I don't think the company is really ready to get rid of Sasha either, but I could be wrong. But whether or not these two get the boot for walking out, I say score one for labor. What do you think? Meanwhile, a former NXT Tag Team Champion breaks his silence after his WWE release. Zachary Wentz, aka Nash Carter from the team MSK, was cut back in April after his estranged wife, Kimber Lee, posted an old picture of him from 2015 doing what appears to be a Nazi salute, sporting a mustache similar to that of Adolf Hitler. In his statement posted on Twitter Monday, he said, quote, "Over the past month, I've taken time to reflect on my conduct, to which I express my utmost remorse and regret. I've spent time off social media to refresh and re-educate myself about the horrors of the Holocaust. I can assure you that this is not who I am or what I represent as a human being, and I feel it is never too late to educate and better yourself." End quote. Kimberly had posted the picture on social media while also accusing Wentz of abusing her during their marriage, though in his statement he says she shared the picture in retaliation to him wanting a divorce. Well, this SummerSlam weekend, fans in Nashville can enjoy not just that event, but the return of the Starrcast convention at the Nashville Fairgrounds, which will feature the final in-ring farewell of a legend. The Nature Boy Ric Flair has announced at the age of 73 and with a pacemaker, he'll be getting back in the ring one more time for a match happening Sunday, July 31st, the day after SummerSlam. The man who was on death's door 4 years ago has been seen on social media training for his first match since Sting in 2011. Flair says he feels good about the match because it'll be a tag format. As for who he's wrestling, Ricky Steamboat was rumored to be one of Flair's opponents, but the Dragon has publicly rejected the offer. This, of course, has reignited the debate as to whether or not Flair should get back in the ring to wrestle, but I don't even think it's a matter of should he or shouldn't he. It's a matter of does he or does he not want to do it. Obviously, yes, he does, and if his doctors allow him to do it, then why the heck not? It's his career, it's his life, and it's fairly obvious this is a man who has gotten what he wants and does what he wants to do for the last several decades. This may sound callous, but I don't really have concern for his well-being in this match. I think he'll be fine for a couple of reasons. One, like he said, it's going to be a tag team match, so he'll be pretty protected in that manner. And also, don't forget, despite his health scare a couple of years ago, the man still has lived most of his life as a cardio freak, and that's not something you forget very easily. Flair's final match is the linchpin of Starrcast's return, as the three-day convention is also advertising an onstage Horseman reunion, the roast of Ric Flair, and many other live stage shows featuring Bret Hart, Johnny Gargano, Mick Foley, Matt Cardona, and Brian Myers, and the live debut of Kevin Nash's new podcast, Click This. For tickets and information, visit starrcast.com. As for what my involvement that weekend's going to be, stay tuned. Across the pond in Nottingham, England, fans are getting ready for the maiden voyage of a new company called the Wrestling Entertainment Series. WES is a new company run by the former authors of Pain, Gazim Salmani, and Sunny Dinza. The June 4th show at the Motorpoint Arena in England is advertising a reunion with AOP and Paul Ellering, and 7 matches in all featuring a host of former WWE talent, including Killer Cross, the former Nia Jackson Lana, Weston Blake and Steve Macklin, No Way Jose, and many more. The main event for their world title will see Adam Scherr, the former Braun Strowman, take on MMA legend Alistair Overeem, who ironically caught flack for making some unsavory comments about pro wrestling last year. For tickets and info, check out motorpointarenanottingham.com. On to some sad news, as Hall of Famer Jim Duggan announced he is once again fighting cancer. The man known as Hacksaw broke the news to his fans on Instagram a few days ago, saying that despite having his prostate removed last year, the cancer there has returned, and they will soon undergo radiation treatment. The 68-year-old Duggan also famously fought and beat kidney cancer in 1998 while still working for WCW. We here at Wrestling with Regret wish Duggan a speedy recovery and the ability to beat cancer one more time. Finally, on a lighter note, we move on to my favorite thing in wrestling this week. You always love to see people posting their W's, as the kids say, and this one speaks for itself. The Natural Dustin Rhodes went on Twitter Thursday to announce he is officially 14 years sober. Congrats to Dustin on his accomplishment. Here's to many more ahead. That'll do it for This Week in Regret, folks. Check back right here every Friday where I give you my takes on the biggest wrestling stories in the last 7 days. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.